Welcome back to Leon Divert, where today we are rating Gen 3 designs. Let me just start by saying I loved Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. They were all really good games in my opinion. This is when I thought Pokemon started getting pretty good. You got the double battles, you got the abilities, pretty intricate designs. I apologize for the confusion. For some reason, I had it in my head that I was going to push off the Mega Evolutions until the Generation 6 video, but as it turns out, I did rank Mega Evolutions in my earlier tier list videos, so I will be ranking these Mega Evolutions at the end of this video. Thank you, and sorry again for the confusion. That being said, let's just dive right into it. Alright, so starting out with the Trico line, I think Trico has this cool guy attitude about him, just the way he's portrayed, both in the anime and in the games, so I'm gonna say A tier. Same thing for Grovyle, it just gets the point across. We got this gecko lizard thing, he's ready for combat, I'm with it. Pretty much all the starters are gonna be either A or S tier. I think Sceptile is awesome, I have a special place in my heart for his Mega, but we'll talk about that in another video. I personally think Torchic is adorable, so honestly, S tier. Same thing for Combusken, just solid design. We got the combat chicken going on, it's pretty cool. Blaziken, absolutely legendary design, you can't go wrong. Mudkip, obviously the poster child for Gen 3. You know, do you like Mudkips, the meme? Absolutely crazy. So Marshtomp, you know, he's kind of goofy. You know, if he didn't have such a memed out design, he honestly would probably be in B tier, but because he's so funny in 3D, I'm gonna put him in A tier. I think all Gen 3's final evolutions for their starters are solid designs and solid Pokemon, you know, in the actual game, so they're all S tier. Alright, Poochyena B tier, just kind of a dog, but a pretty cute looking dog, all things considered. Mightyena kind of has a really cool design, so I'll put him in A tier. I think Zigzagoon has a pretty good design. You know, I think about the Zigzagoons from Pokemon Coliseum often. So I'm gonna put him in B tier. For Linoone though, I'm actually gonna put it in C tier. It's just a pretty okay design. Silcoon, you know, it's just a cocoon. I'm just gonna go ahead and put Cascoon there as well. It's a very basic middle stage evolution, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. We've had a lot of butterflies in the series, but I do think Beautifly is pretty spot on design wise, and I think it's just a really pretty design. So I'm gonna put it in A tier. Dustox honestly could have looked more moth-like, so I'm gonna put it in C tier. Lotad, pretty memeable design. I'll put it in B tier. Same thing for Lombre. Alright, Ludicolo, S tier design. Think about the horrors of the live action films. Think about Mirror B from Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gale of Darkness. Just absolutely iconic. I think Seedot as a design is very simple but very effective. I think it's a cool design. It's just an acorn, but it's adorable and it gets the point across. Alright, so for Nuzleaf, I would put him higher because he looks like a Pikmin, but I do kind of think that this particular gen went really hard on humanoid designs, and I would have liked him to be more tree-like. So I'm gonna put him there. Alright, for Shiftry, pretty much the same argument. A little too humanoid coming from the Seedot, in my opinion. We'll just put that in B tier and keep going. Alright, for Tailo, I mean, it's just a bird. It's a cute bird, though. I'll put it in C. Same thing for Swellow. You know, it's an interesting design, but it is just a bird. Maybe up here in B. I think that works for me. So, Wingull, is also just a bird, but it's a more interesting bird. It's not just a generic bird, it's a bird of the sea. It's a seagull, but of course a Pokemon. For Pelipper, I think it's one of the more unique bird designs that we have so far, so I'm actually going to put him in A tier. I think it accurately represents the animal very well, but also is an interesting enough Pokemon design. Alright, I was speaking on humanoid designs earlier. I think Ralts is just okay. Same thing for Kirlia. Alright, for Gardevoir, obviously, fan favorite. Everyone loves Gardevoir. Pretty good humanoid Pokemon design, all things considered, and there's definitely no bias here. So Surskit, pretty basic bug design. We're going to see a lot of kind of basic bug designs here in D tier. Masquerain can go up here. Alright, I think Shroomish is also just pretty simple. I'll say simple, but effective. Alright, with Breloom, I think he's this kind of mushroom lizard looking Pokemon. Pretty effective design. I'm gonna put him in A tier. All right, so Slackoth, get your derpy ass right there. Vigoroth, you're just okay, in my opinion. You know, we're kind of going from a sloth to a monkey to a gorilla of some kind. I think Slacking's just okay. Just another kind of big, normal type Pokemon. All right, so Nincada, you can go right there. I do think Ninjask is pretty cool. Maybe not A tier, I'll put them in B. All right, for Shedinja, I actually love the concept. I love that it's just the dead carcass of the Nincada that evolved into the Ninjask. I think design-wise, it's very neato. A tier. All right, for Whismur, I think it's just an okay design. I don't actually know what it's supposed to be, so I'm just gonna put it in D tier. For Loudred, though, I think it's a pretty goofy design, but I love the idea of Pokemon that, you know, are sound focused. Same thing for Exploud. Obviously, he's screaming here in his design, but overall, I just love the idea of sound Pokemon. And when it's a part of their design, that's just a bonus in my opinion. All right, so our sumo Pokemon, Makuhita and Hariyama. I think Makuhita is just okay. Hariyama actually is pretty cool design-wise. I'm gonna put it in A tier. All right, for Azurill, you know, Pichu Blue. I think it's just okay. I'm gonna put it in C tier. For Nosepass, I think it's hilarious. It's just a big old nose on a rock. I'm gonna put it in B tier. For Skitty and Delcatty, you know, they're just both adorable cat Pokemon. They're going in A tier for me. All right, for Sableye, I think him being kind of this little purple imp, I think it's a pretty neato design. I like the diamond eyes and the ruby in his chest. A tier. All right, I couldn't tell you what yokai or demon or whatever Mawile is based on, but the design itself is freaking awesome. Putting it in S tier. All right, so for Aron, I think it's pretty okay. It's like a steel mite looking thing. Larion kind of reminds me of those enemies from the water dungeon in Twilight Princess. I was gonna put Larion in C tier, but it can be in B tier as well. Aggron, though, I think Aggron is an awesome design, so I'm at least gonna put it in A tier. All right, for Metatite, I think it's a pretty goofy looking Pokemon. I'm gonna put it in B tier. Same thing for Metacham. They're just goofy. All right, for Electrike, it's almost D tier for me, but honestly, the green coloring bumps it up to C. I think Manectric is actually a pretty cool design, all things considered. I just wish it was stronger in the games. All right, so Plusle and Minun, some of the first Pikachu clones. I think on their own, their designs are kind of weak, but as a pair, I think that they're awesome, so A tier. All right, so Volbeat and Illumise, they're kind of just generic bugs to me, personally, so I'm gonna put them in C tier. For Roserade, I think it's actually an awesome design. I wish we had more grass types that really honed in on specific flowers. So I think Roserade is A tier. Gulpin and Swalot are pretty funny to me. They're kind of the Muck and Grimer of this generation. I think Gulpin's actually pretty cool though. So I'm gonna put Gulpin there. And I think Swalot with the mustache and the diamonds and stuff and just the stark color change, I really like that. So A tier. So there's a lot of water in Gen 3, but I think design-wise, Carvanha actually sticks out pretty well as a fish Pokemon, so at least B tier, I think. Let's talk about Sharpedo real quick. It's a shark, it's a torpedo, it's very well named, and it's very well designed. I think S tier. Alright, if it wasn't for the smile, honestly, Wailmer would be in D tier, but, you know, it is a whale, and it's portrayed pretty well, and the goofy smile bumps it up to C for me. And as much water Pokemon as we have in the series, it's surprising that we don't have a lot more dolphins and whales on top of all the fish and other stuff that we have. So I think, as the more iconic whale Pokemon that we do have, Wailord at least is B tier. Alright, Numel is just there. I actually like Camerupt. It's this camel, cow, volcano thing. I like the design. I'm gonna put it in B tier. Alright, I think turtles are pretty cool, and honestly, Torkoal has an incredible design. A tier. Alright, Spoink is another example of a Pokemon that's simple but effective. So I'm gonna put it in B tier. Same thing for Grumpig. It's a pig, but it's designed pretty well for what it is, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. Alright, for Spenda, it's kind of unique in the sense that it can come with like millions of different designs, so it would have been in D tier if it wasn't for that fact. I'm gonna put it in C tier. I think Trapinch is a little silly, but it can go in C tier. Alright, I think at the time we didn't have a lot of Dragonfly looking Pokemon, so Vibrava actually steps it up pretty well for me. Obviously, Flygon is an iconic design and really needs a Mega Evolution, and I hope we get one in ZA. I think Cacnea is an adorable cactus Pokemon, and I think it gets the point across pretty well, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. I know it's technically a leak, but have you seen the original art for Cacturne? That shit was terrifying. I'm pretty tempted to put it in A tier, but the Pokemonification of it, I'm just gonna put it in B tier. Alright, for Swablu, I know it's a pretty basic design, but it's not just a generic bird, and I love the idea of a bird with cloud wings, so honestly, A tier. And then it becomes a dragon. Altaria really steps up the design in my opinion, and I honestly love the design, so S tier, in my opinion. Alright, for Zangoose, I wish it stood out a little more. You know, the red designs don't bump it up a lot for me, so I'm gonna put it in C tier. Alright, for Seviper though, I like the design, I like the color scheme, I like the fangs. I think it's a very good looking snake Pokemon, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. Alright, for Lunatone and Solrock, I honestly love their designs. They're very basic, but they get the point across so freaking well. I love these guys. I'm putting them in A tier. I think Barboach is a pretty generic looking fish, all things considered, but Whiscash? I love Whiscash. I love the whiskers. It's just a silly dude. Love it. A tier. Corphish is just okay as a crab. Alright, design-wise, I think Crawdon is such a step up from Corphish. I love the star. Honestly, B tier. Alright, Baltoy kind of just this spinning top-looking thing. It's just okay. Claydol as a concept terrifies me, but I think that's good. So I'm going to put it in B tier. For Lileep, I really like the design. I like the color choices. I like that it's kind of hidden in its little flower-looking thing. So B tier. And I really like Credilli. I think the design is really good. I like that it's kind of this dinosaur flower looking thing, so honestly, A tier. Based on where I put Lileep and Credilli, I actually really love the fossils of this gen. I think Anorith is an awesome, simple, but effective design, A tier. I do not like that he started standing on two legs when he evolved though, so Armaldo, B tier. Alright, we kind of have this ugly duckling situation where Feebas is a very generic looking fish Pokemon, but it does kind of have the 1,000-yard stare, which is, you know, pretty memeable in my opinion. So it's not the worst fish. I'm gonna put it in C tier. I feel like I don't have to explain Milotic too much because it's a very good Sea Serpent design and quite a step up from Feebas. Like I said, we have this ugly duckling evolving into a beautiful swan. In this case, a beautiful sea serpent. Honestly, S tier. I think Castform is pretty stupid. It's just a floating dude with nuts. However, I do like the weather designs. I'm gonna put the weather designs in B tier. I think Kecleon's design is pretty cool. You know, it's based on a chameleon. We'll put it in B tier. Shuppet is another example of a very basic looking design, but pretty effective all things considered. I'm gonna at least put it in C tier. I think Bayonet as a concept is a really awesome looking Pokemon. I'm gonna put it in B tier. Alright, for Duskull, I actually love Duskull. I think it's a very well designed Pokemon. S tier. For its evolution though, I think Dusclops is just okay. B tier. If you haven't seen the memes for this Pokemon, you're missing out because this Pokemon is hilarious. I wish it evolved or mega evolved or got some kind of attention. But I think Tropius is very well designed. S tier. Alright, for Chimecho, it's kind of just a wind chime. I'm gonna put it in D tier. Alright, for Absol, the lore, you know, the fact that it can predict catastrophes and, you know, the blade-like, you know, the blade thing coming out of the side of its head. Honestly, I think this design is awesome. A tier. Alright, so a baby Pokemon for Wobbuffet. I think it's a very basic design, but honestly, its name being Why Not is hilarious, so B tier. For Snorunt, I think it's a pretty basic Pokemon. I don't know what it is, I don't know what Glalie is either, but honestly, I'm just gonna put it in D tier. Glalie itself is a step up, but you know, it is just kind of a floating ball of steel, so C tier. All right, so y'all know the deal with Spiel. It's a spherical seal. It's spherical! All right, obviously, S tier. I do like the mustache on Celio, so I'll put it in B tier. I think the evolutionary line is pretty good overall. Design-wise, I love the tusks on Walrein, so A tier. For Clamperl, it's a pretty basic design, but it's very effective in my opinion. B tier. Alright, Huntail, I think it's just an eel. I wish it had been green instead of blue, personally, but C tier. The fact that Gorbis doesn't evolve from Love Disc just makes me mad. Otherwise, it's a pretty basic also eel, I guess. I'm gonna put it right here next to Huntail. I'm to understand that Relicanth is some kind of ancient fish. I think it's pretty simple but effective with its design, but I'm still just gonna put it in C tier. Okay, so designs don't get much more basic than this, and like I said, I do wish Love Disc evolved into Gorbis. It does get points for being shaped like a heart and being named Love Disc, so I'm at least gonna put it in C tier. Alright, so Bagon's trying to make big brain moves. He's got that cranium. It's just alright. I'm gonna put him in B tier. I think Shelgon is hilarious. I don't know why this dragon needs a cocoon. It's just an okay design. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Alright, for Salamence, it's obviously an iconic pseudo-legendary dragon-type Pokemon. I do wish the wings looked a little different. If the wings looked a little more menacing, I would probably put it in S tier, but it's just okay as an A tier. I like Beldum because it reminds me of the enemies from Mega Man Legends. Otherwise, it's pretty basic. I think I'll put it in B tier. I think Metang is a pretty good step up. You know, I'm just gonna put it in A tier. For Metagross, honestly, I love the design. I love the shiny. This is an S tier design. So design-wise, I think the Regis are pretty basic. You know, they're just these elemental golems. I do like how you get them in-game, but I'm trying not to consider that, just judging them based on their designs. So honestly, I think they're kind of C tier. You know, they're just there. All right, so Latios and Latios. I think they're really cool, really fast-looking dragon-type legendary Pokemon. I think they can go in A tier. All right, so now our box art legendaries. We're talking Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza. I'm thinking Kyogre is really cool as this ancient whale-looking Pokemon. I think that's really cool. I think that's A tier. And continuing on with this ancient-looking designs, I think Groudon is really cool as this kind of dinosaur design. Honestly, another A tier. All right, so Rayquaza, obviously iconic. I think it's a very good design for a legendary. Honestly, S tier. All right, so we're down to the last two Pokemon. Of course, I'm going to rate all of Deoxys's different forms as well. But Jirachi and Deoxys, both from outer space, both very unique Pokemon and very hard to obtain. Jirachi can grant wishes. It's shaped like a star. You know, you wish upon a star. It's got the eyeball on its belly. Really unique design. I'm thinking A tier. So Deoxys is iconic, very alien-looking Pokemon. I love the tentacles for the arms. I think the original Deoxys form is A tier. All right, so attack form really brings the aggression to the design. I like it a lot, and honestly, I'm just gonna say it. It is S tier for me. I think defense form really dumbs down the design. Obviously, it's still an awesome-looking Pokemon, but this one's B tier. Now, the speed form is pretty cool. I don't think it's S tier cool, but it is A tier cool. All right, we're kind of back in the present. As it turns out, I did rank the Mega Evolutions in my earlier videos, so I'm just going to go ahead and rank these guys too. I do have a short story to tell about Mega Sceptile. I loved the tail. It always reminded me of a Christmas tree, so for whatever reason, I always named my Mega Sceptile Xmas Wangs. Anyway, it's S tier. Mega Blaziken is also S tier. Mega Swampert is also S tier. Mega Gardevoir is also S tier. I think the idea of Pokemon further evolving beyond what they're normally capable of is a cool idea, so that's why so many of them are going to be in S tier. I do like that the giant ruby came out of Sablei's chest and he's now holding it like he's hiding behind it or whatever. I think that that is also S tier. I mean, Mega Mawile got a second mouth, but it doesn't make the design any worse. I don't think it makes it much better either, but we'll still put it in S tier. I actually think Mega Aggron is just okay. I'm gonna put it in A tier. I still think Metacham overall is kind of goofy, so Mega Metacham is just mega goofy. B tier. I think Mega Manectric is a little over-designed. B tier. There's also a case for a lot of Megas to be kind of over-designs of the original. I think Mega Sharpedo is just A tier. Mega Camerupt is also just A tier. Same thing for Mega Altaria. I think Mega Bayonet is actually awesome. S tier. I actually don't like the wings on Mega Absol, but it kind of leans into this kind of emo design, so I guess it's just A tier. The beard is funny, but I'm not a huge fan of Mega Glalie. I think Mega Metagross is awesome. S tier. I think the Megas for Latios and Latias are kind of lazy, and I'm not a huge fan of them. I do like that they both kind of turned purple, which implies that they both came from a single purple Pokemon. But it's just okay, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. Alright, so the Primal Pokemon, I do like their designs. I think that they're S tier designs. So I'm gonna go ahead and put them up there. And same thing for Mega Rayquaza, it just amplified what Rayquaza looks like. I think it's pretty well designed. So there you go. Alright, so the Pokemon Presents is just in a couple of days. I'm pretty excited for it overall. I hope we see some great content from the Pokemon Company. I hope that they get it together. It can be pretty hit or miss from them, so let's just see what happens. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next one. Have a damn good one.